This week's big new release is Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy in Legend.
Yeah, it's about a legend. Which is
it just one legend?
Can I just say, like, first, do you think it's a bit of a weird thing that they've put legend? Like, it's such a generic title for that, but also the fact that it's the Cray twins. Like, I mean, do you think it's like the legend, like a good legend, or like the legend of? I mean, it's a bit. I mean, I've seen quite a lot of The Guardian, like on the comment section there. I mean, obviously it is The Guardian, but still, like they were just going on about how it's like sort of glamorizing them. But that's very much what this film does, because it is sort of the glamorization of the Crays, you know.
It makes them the anti-heroes very much.
Yeah, directed by Brian Helgeland. Helgeland. Yeah. So it's the story of the rise and fall of London's most notorious gangsters, Reggie and Ron Cray, both portrayed by Mr. Tom Hardy, who's fresh off Mad Max Fury Road and obviously last year Lock and The Drop. He's in a great sort of run now. It's a crime thriller that's taken us into the secret history of the 60s and all the events and the happenings and scenarios that got the Crays to where they are throughout their time. I know some people have said there's quite a lot of myths around whether that's truth or false. You know, nobody knows the full story. But I think as a telling, this is definitely some strong, because I think it's really, really good, because it does have an intense sense of place that involves it. It's a really strong sort of setting, and I really like some of the way that you can get into the world, you know, the general world building that they do, that really makes you think it's a lived in 1960s London. I love some of the set design they've got through there. Cinematography's really good. Obviously Dick Pope, who's famous recently for Mr. Turner, of course, which was great last year,
for being called Dick Poop,
and for Dick Poop at the Oscars. Well
done.
But I mean, even though it does glamorise the Crays in a way that some people might say uncomfortable
to a point.
Yeah, because I mean, you see the violence through that, like these. Obviously, it does seem like very glamorous. You know, the hanging with the high rollers, sort of the spenders and the thrifters of this high rolling world. But you see the film. I mean, I understand that the first Crays film they tried to do a few years ago with
Martin Kemp and
Gary Kemp from Spandau Ballet.
Yeah.
Who I understand that film was very much focused on the mother, and from her perspective, this time they go for the wife of Reginald Cray, played by Emily Brown and Frances Shea, who was only 16 when they met and obviously fell under a spell, and they got married, etc. And I won't spoil the story.
I was thinking watching it how creepy it was, but yeah, 16, that makes sense.
16, yeah. But I mean, you really do get the sense through her eyes that this is not a world that you want to be involved in. You know, Tom Hardy's fantastic performance. You know, you've got the suave, sort of slick, really sweet talking sort of, and you can really sense he's got power and gravitas behind Reggie Cray, and then you've got that unhinged sort of psychopath in Ronnie Cray that you never know what's going to go on. He could always smash at one time, and she plays a really sensitive. I mean, obviously Frances was a sensitive person, I suppose, and obviously when you're under the influence of the Crays, you know, you're never going to really be like in your prime, and I think she does a really good job, Emily Brown, of bringing that to it. It's a great supporting cast as well, including Christopher Eccleston as Nipper Reed, the cop who was on the case throughout the year. He's aged a lot though in the past 10 years since I saw him in Doctor Who. Jesus. I mean, but yeah, it's a really good sort of British crime thriller. You know, I really think I'm really been into that in the past year. Ever since Hyena last year, I've been watching stuff like Filth recently as well, sort of like London crime stuff. But I really think that this is definitely for what it is. I mean, there are problems with it. I think there's a voiceover by Emily Browning, and it does sort of slow the story and feel like an exposition dump at times.
And as we said on the way back, like there are scenes that she wouldn't have actually been in, so how would she? And it'll especially at the start are quite overwritten.
Yeah, and I feel like some scenes like go on, like repeat themselves a bit, and you sort of the story beats sort of go off on each other a little bit. Like it's like building up to one thing, and then it sort of keeps on going like from a natural end point. But I don't think that takes away at all from the whole feel of it and just the fantastic performances within, because it's so like awkwardly funny as well sometimes, and it's really, really brutal.
That's Hardy, isn't it?
There's some fantastically brutal scenes. I mean, the emotions and expressions that Tom Hardy brings on his face to both of the brothers, you know, you never really feel like the individual. I mean, you know, they could have just done the easy route and just played it like where one person's on camera, one person's from behind them, and you never really, you know. So, but they haven't gone with that. They've gone from straight down the camera. You know, they're on screen together. You see both of them, and they're very, very individual characters, even though they are the twins. And I think, despite some of its problems, which I mean, like the story flags a little bit, and I don't think the narration works as well as they might have wanted. But I do think for the sense of place, the set design, just the story, and the fantastic sort of characterization that Tom Hardy and Emily Browning bring, it's just a really, really good British crime thriller.
Joe.
Basically it. I mean, nice cinematography. I'm so close to saying Dick Pope. Dick Pope. Nice cinematography from Dick Pope.
It's conditioned now, isn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, it's from the perspective of Frances, so everything's gonna be tip top and glamorized and everything. Which I do agree. Though there's some problems with some situations which you wouldn't have been there. So I mean, maybe you can give some leeway to her like hearing it But
as I said, they don't come across as the couple who just share with each other.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, because she would be the sensitive type of person that you would keep everything away from her.
Yeah.
But yeah, just two fine from one fine performance from Tom Hardy.
It does sort of confuse me, doesn't it?
I was wondering if he was going to get credited twice in the credits, but
that's what I was waiting for. But yeah, it was a fine performance. That's basically all I kind of cared about with the film, really. Other than that, it's just the performance. That's all I cared about.
It's a fairly long film, over 2 hours. It could have lost a bit of.
Yeah.
I really think it's one of my favourites of the year, actually, because
it goes through all the normal history of the craze and everything, and it's just like a normal average kind of British thing.
You get sort of swept away by that sort of intensity that they bring, in that story. It is a dark, sort of seedy underbelly of 60s London. The fact that the cinematography works so well with the set down, there probably was a lot of CGI within there, but it blends. Apart from the opening scene, which is obviously clearly CGI, and I think the soundtrack's really good as well. Actually, I didn't know there's some jazzy things.
I thought there was some quite obvious choices.
But it's just some things that you would never expect, and then obviously the main soundtrack piece is really good. You hear it in the trailer, but I think it does just add to that sort of the fact that it is glamorizing the craze a little bit, but it's always from a step back, so you never really want to be in that world, so I don't think that's a problem really. So you always see you never want to go down that route, so it's sort of seeing a step back through the eyes of Emily Browning and seeing just how much of a destructive, sort of awful people these were, but at the same time extremely glamorous guys.